Right. So, listen, you ever had one of those days where you feel like you did everything? Like you went to work, you had to, manage the office or manage the work, the workers as they went about their day. You had to keep fixing people's mistakes at work, and you're like constantly feel like you're doing everything. You're ordering the parts, you're doing the billing, you're doing the estimates, you're doing just about everything, or you're having to feel like your duties list, it just grows, and your responsibilities are just being piled upon you. You get home, and then you got to clean up the house and do the dishes, or help do the dishes, or try to cook a meal real quick, or put the kids to bed. And chances are, if you're doing all that, what you need to really do is probably get your husband to help you a little bit. No, but seriously, have you ever felt like you do a lot more than, and you're really just kind of striving all the time to get things done? And I started to read in Ecclesiastes this morning about kind of what we're striving after and what we're chasing, really. And so I wanted to just kind of read through what Solomon here says about, what he tried to figure out. So Solomon's going through this process of trying to figure out what will make him happy, what brings joy, what can he do to make himself happy. And he says, I said to myself, come now, I will test you with pleasure, so enjoy yourself. And behold, it too was futility. And I said of laughter, it is madness, and of pleasure, what does it accomplish? He asked himself. I explored with my mind how to stimulate my body with wine, while my mind was guiding me wisely, and how to take hold of folly, until I could see what good there is for the sons of men to do under heaven the few years of their lives. And then he kind of goes on and starts to list about all these things that he's going to do and try to do. He says, I enlarged my works, I built houses for myself, I planted vineyards for myself. I made gardens and parks for myself, and planted all kinds of fruit trees. I made ponds of water for myself, for which to irrigate a forest of growing trees. And he just kind of keeps listing all these things. Have you ever been in that rut where you're like, you're doing, and it can even be like, maybe it's in your ministry. Are you doing and doing? Do you feel like you're having to take care of every part of that ministry? Nobody's helping to serve, and next thing you know, you're in there cleaning your own church bathrooms and grumbling because nobody's helping you. Have you ever been, just feeling that sense of, I keep doing all these things, and I can't seem to find any joy or peace in any of them, because I'm just, really, I'm overworked, I'm overburdened. These things are really, they're weighing me down. But you kind of get into that rut of doing these things because you feel nobody else is there to help you. So I think this is, Solomon here is, I think he's just trying to do and do and do to find joy. So he keeps doing these things thinking they're going to make him happy. He even goes down here and he starts talking about in Ecclesiastes 2, 8, I also collected for myself silver and gold and the treasures of kings and provinces. I provided for myself male and female singers and the pleasures of men, many concubines. I mean, now he's even gone out now. Concubines, if for those up in the north, we don't know what a concubine is. If you've been reading the Bible, you understand that the concubine in the biblical sense was this, that you had female servants that are around the house all the time, and they served you in really whatever way you want. Down the south, the older generation would call a concubine, a prostitute or a woman who's, there for, your sexual needs. So he's trying everything now. He's building up his gold, his silver. He becomes extremely wealthy. He talks about like the wealthiest man in Jerusalem, like all the kings of Jerusalem are going to like bow down to his wealth. He tries it all. And so then he gets up into verse 11 here, and he says, thus I considered my activities which my hands had done, and the labors which I had exerted, and behold, all was vanity, and striving after the wind, and there was no profit under the sun. No profit under the sun. He talked in the verse 3 there, he even said, of men to do under heaven the few years of their lives. So what he's talking about here is his own work. These are not kingdom works. Are we doing what we are doing to serve God as kingdom works? Or are we doing them under the sun And if we're doing them under the sun, it says right here, we are striving after the wind. You're never going to catch the wind. I kind of was thinking about being, out in the ocean, and you're in two rafts, and God's in one raft and you're in the other raft. And as you start to just paddle with your hands in this ocean, all you can do, no matter how far much you paddle, you are not going to ever get back to shore as you're trying to be, on your own power. And in fact, what happens is the wind starts blowing you as the harder you try, and as the winds pick up of life, and all these things start to all the turmoil starts to come around you. What do we start to do? We start drifting, as a matter of fact, from God. We start drifting, and we start paddling harder and harder. It doesn't matter, though. The harder we paddle in our own strength, in my own mind coming up with ways to do life, the more I drift from God. So here's what I'm gonna suggest that we do. As he had said, there's no prophet under the sun. What I'm going to tell you, your prophets are going to be under the sun that shines on some. And that's sun, S-O-N, that shines on some, meaning Jesus Christ, who shines on those who are walking outdoors and letting his rays shine on him. He said, come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Are you finding your rest in Jesus Christ? And so when you start finding your rest in Jesus Christ, things that we do, if we're doing them as kingdom works, listen, I'm talking change your heart in how you perceive what you're doing, and stop doing it for you, stop doing it for your bank account, stop doing it for your wife, stop doing it for your customers even. All those things in themselves are fine, but let's do them with a serving heart, and we do them with joy in our heart because we understand it's God's purpose for us that day. That's our call for that day, to go through that day with a happiness or joy in our heart because we are serving the Lord that day. Let's do all that we do under the sun, S-O-N, that shines on some, Jesus Christ who shines on some, and let him shine on you today. So people, guys, let's stop feeling like we're doing everything today. Let's, again, come alongside our brothers and reach out to them when we start feeling like we can't do this on our own. Let's do our what we do today as kingdom works. I hope you all liked what I had to say. If you do, please subscribe, hit like, leave me a comment, and y'all have a good day. Thanks.